Met on September 7th. There were several items on the agenda. I'd like to draw your attention to the new form that you have in front of you this evening. Thanks to Jennifer Olson, the Planning Commission Secretary, we've tried now to consolidate the information on a form that we can quickly record the motions and the activity and discussion at the meeting. I know my predecessor that, as a liaison to the board, worked very hard to give you a monthly report on our activities. Jennifer and I decided to take this approach and utilizing this form. So there were two variances acted upon at the September 7th meeting. The first is number 3 on your item. It's the variance request for N9297 East Shore Road, PEC number 90002G. Lansing Company LLC, owner Nicholas Mathers, Deep River partner applicant. And the motion was to approve the variance as requested, and it was seconded by Commissioner Denhart. The motion carried. It's a complicated property, to say the least. The property is a substandard lot in Walworth County R1 Shoreline District. The motion was made to approve citing hardships due to substandard lot on a sloping, grade, and steep topography, 22 feet over a 75-foot piece of land. Significant sloping. As well, the motion was further approved to, as well, for the existing failing retaining walls. The approved plan provides for proposed garage as part of the retaining wall, as well as a plan improving drainage to create less hardship to the neighbors on the north of the lot in particular. The applicant provided letters of support from neighbors both on the north and the south in favor of this project. The linchpin to this is essentially a 7.92 foot variance setback instead of the customary 25-foot setback. And that allows, this setback is located on a private road, which the property owners maintain. And with this variance, the project in its entirety can go forward, and the neighbors on both the north and the south would benefit. So we did motion and approve. I would make a motion to approve this variance.
Okay, we have a motion.
I would ask that the motion be stated that it be approved adopting the hardship findings made by the planning commission.
We make a motion to approve this variance based on the hardship findings of the planning commission.
Do you need to specify the address and number? Second.
Motion and second, the motion is to approve a variance request at N9297 East Shore Road, parcel PET 9402G. Any discussion at all? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None, okay.
Thanks for getting the letters of support from the neighbors that oppose.
Absolutely.
Normally we have 2 meetings, but at this first meeting of the month, we did take upon ourselves the second variance request for W1780 South Shore Drive, PET number 0003, Ted and Mara Kennedy owners, and Rob Miller Homes, with Brett Ottenhaven Seasonal Supply. Again, the Commissioner Smith made a motion to approve the variance to the driveway width as well as the landscaping work within the high water setback as proposed. Commissioner, DeGray seconded the motion and it carried. This is a unique property in which it's a peninsula. The house itself is situated between two parts of, the lake. And it also has, South Shore Drive in front of it. So the motion was to approve, citing the burdens of the property, being on a peninsula and having setbacks on three sides, as well as the narrowness of South Shore Drive. Proposed plan would be replacing the home within the existing footprint, requiring a variance for the stoop and landscaping, as well as the widening of the driveway. Commissioner Smith stated that widening the driveway may also be addressing safety issues, allowing guests to park on the applicant's driveway rather than South Shore Drive. So I would make a motion to approve the variance based on the reasons stated to the planning commission.
Hardship.
Hardships.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, one, point of clarification, is that parcel number correct? Is that PCT, or is that supposed to be PET?
No, PCT.
Is it PCT?
Mhm.
Sure.
Thank
All right, so we have a motion and a second.
Given the narrowness of South Shore, I think getting more cars off the road and into a driveway is definitely the best way to go, so.
Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
I,
Aye. Opposed?
Thanks. The other two issues will come back to us at our second monthly meeting, and any feedback, criticism, critique of the form, in our effort to get the information to you in the most concise manner.
I like it,
Yes.
better job than I did.
Okay, that's all for planning commission?
Yes.
Okay. All right, public comments period number one. 3 minutes is what the, amount is, anybody,
I don't have a question. Just signed it, I think 1969, so the road pertaining to the labs. I went online, and looked at the, pier, and it was pretty hard to read the dimensions. If you would like for the record, I actually put them so they're legible, if you wanted them. And then I did a overlay of my property with their property.
okay, that could be useful, put it with the same title.
Sure.
Yes, just give it,
Just one copy or multiple?
just.
And I can read everything on the, what she sent to us.
That'd be helpful, because when it comes time for,
Well, you can't read it on the.
Thanks, Jeff.
Sure.
Is it?
That's it.
Public comments, anyone?
Joe Jones, N9033, East Miramar Drive.
Thank you.
One quick comment to your contract thing. A lot of times when they're asking you to do it by the end of the year, they're trying to get bookings in. You might be able to do an LOI, I don't know government-wise if you can do an LOI with an agreement that payment will be 6 months after it's approved by the board or something.
What's LOI, please?
A letter of intent. Sometimes they'll give you that, but just a passing comment. Second thing, COVID pay. I noticed in the special meeting on 8/10, I know I worked as a essential worker in a machine shop. I'm getting extra pay. My wife got a benefit of 2 weeks of layoff during that time. So, I'm not quite sure why we're doing that kind of thing. Police garage. I ran a company of 112 people, and if I projected a $200,000 cost and come in at 500,000, that doesn't seem like there's enough planning up front. So I think this needs to go back to the beginning of the drawing board. Treasurer's report. all I found online, I've been trying, you know, I've been here like 3 months trying to figure all this out. And all I found online was a revenue summary. And I'm used to seeing a monthly, budget plan or plan to actuals in business, and maybe quarterly where we are relative to that revenue. If I'm missing something, please let me know, but I can't see where I see any of that. I see we have a proposed budget of 4 million roughly, and I don't see any, where we are year to date on spending, all of that kind of stuff. I would think we want to do something like that. My notes aren't very good. Oh, one thing that, would be helpful is, I know public notice is important, but maybe going a little bit farther to know whether, like in an agenda, I noticed some of the special meetings aren't in agenda form on the website before we're able to get there. I think some of these, I didn't go back and check every one, but I noticed there were quite a few that aren't in there. And they're not ahead, see, the only way I knew of these other two things was the minutes came out this.
The agendas were there for all those meetings.
Yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely,
Okay.
100%.
I'll go back and verify. But anyway, that would be the only other thing that'd be helpful.
Thank you.
Thanks.
If I might, agendas weren't always posted in a PDF format. That was something that, there was a disconnect with the website, so it popped up something else that you then could open. So we
It was a
reached
file,
out,
just a file.
yeah, we reached out to, make sure that that's always going in as a PDF, so it opens right up for people.
Okay. Oh,
But they've all been posted timely.
Yeah, you have to understand, there's two separate sections, there's town board and there's special
Special
town
town
board.
Oh, I gotta,
Yeah.
yeah, there's like 3
You have
categories.
to go
There's
down
planning
and
commission.
go,
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
there's different
Sorry.
areas.
Annual meeting is a separate meeting.
you get me educated.
Okay, public comment, John?
John Stokes from Route 38, 31 Stearns Ridge Road. I'm reading these 4 questions here for John Vinnie, who was out of town with some family health stuff. So, question number 1, did I read the town board is considering reversing the ATV/UTV ordinance after only a few months in defiance of the will of electors as voted last April? Question number 2, did I read the town board is seeking a budget for additional $200,000 to $300,000 for a police garage as capped per electors at $200,000 last annual meeting? Recall the preliminary proposal became a project only a few days before the annual meeting, to the surprise of even town supervisors. Note, as previously stated, I'm not against the police garage, but only the sudden behind the curtain manner is becoming known. Question number 3, where does the video streaming of the town meeting stand 2.5 years after it was requested at the 2020 annual meeting? It seems fair and reasonable, the amount of time has been allowed unless someone is intentionally slow walking it. An explanation will be nice. Thanks to John Stotts in the meantime, and thank you Supervisor Michelle Reyes for pushing written meeting packets. Question number 4, did the town remodel their bathroom for $90+ K, and why does that seem costly? A simple explanation would be nice for the electors. And then number 5, will the town board agree to proactively meet with the hotel applicant on behalf of the community in some non-binding effort to discuss alternatives to a 60-room hotel on the shores of Lake Beulah, currently approved by the county, as well as suggested at Lake Beulah Managed District's annual meeting recently. Note the town ordinance 17.20.10 use suggest and not shall, but so far we're heading full speed towards a hotel, and only with the help from the town board can a off-ramp be compromised. And that's just what John wanted to do right.
Public comments?
No, you just, during public comment, if questions are asked, you can't really respond to
Right.
them.
And several of these are on the agenda for the platform.
Right.
Shorewood Drive. I just wanted to thank everyone for the time that they spent in helping the residents of Shorewood Drive to get the project where it's currently at. There will be a meeting this coming Sunday at the Peninsula on Shorewood Drive at noon. You guys are all welcome to attend. Several of you have made yourself available by phone and by meeting us on the road, and we really all appreciate that. Thank you all.
That's at the Peninsula.
But it's right at the, when you turn left and right on Shorewood Drive, it's right on the left-hand side of the road. We're meeting at noon on Sunday.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Joe, did you wanna address that email that came from Mr. Zest?
Yeah, we had one that forwarded to the board, today, and this is, one, if you want to make it in the record, the request to be read into the record has to do with the same question.
Does it list the address, or am I gonna have to look it up?
No, he has it on
Okay.
West 598 Bell School Road.
Yeah, I did that, so, it has to do with, item we're gonna be discussing next, actually, about the police garage, and the information we got, from Kilo Henry, so, it's gonna be fully discussed here at the next agenda item. But the email came in from Kansas, talking, next, the same words that John used, and, you know, we started out at 200,000, now it's gonna be 400 or 500, that's what we're gonna discuss here, that's how we got there. And his suggestion was, put on the annual meeting again next year, that's next April, okay? So, that's where it was the last time, you know? I guess you could submit it, could have it into the record, I would copy everybody. I believe,
Type it to us all directly.
want me to read it?
I think it needs to be read.
All right, that was from Ken, give it no Ken this, okay. He wrote it to the board, he didn't copy, Kim or Jim, so I copied them today. And then let everybody else know that it was there. Dear board members, I hate to say I told you so, but the cost of the police garage has now doubled and will likely triple before the process is completed. At this time, I would like to remind you that the taxpayers approved the maximum cost of $200K, and in my opinion, you are obligated to not exceed that. To approve the cost overruns in another year's budget is outside of your approval process. If you want to wait till next year's annual meeting, great, but not now. Please include this email in the public comments of the September meeting. Thank you, Kansas. West 598 Bell School Road. Do you have a copy? I think I have a copy. Okay, any other public comments, or what I was requesting to be read into the record again? Good, okay. All right, folder here, police garage. All right, unfinished business. We're asked to do an update on the police garage information from Kilo Henry. We did hire Kilo Henry to do, basically some planning for us to show how we can build this thing, how to make sure we're all set with code, are we gonna have enough room? And again, this is not just for the police department, it's to get the clerk courts, out of the judge's chambers in an office, where the police currently are. It's to get the building inspector out of this corridor over here, or into his office, and have the police actually have some space. Right now, everybody at the tours here knows that the police department working out of basically 3 closets, they got, okay. So anyway, we asked, Kilo Henry to, give us, real straightforward cost estimate, taking into account what's going on with inflation and building costs, as well as taking our building from, basically a 2-story. So we had some offices upstairs, put it all on 1 floor. So, now we have it all on 1 floor. So we did a analysis on it, and we came up, said, yeah, you can build out the building, you know, the shell, you can make it for a garage for 200,000, but you wanna finish off the offices and the showers, the bathroom, the lighting, and heating and ventilation, which we had some of it. It's gonna cost another 200 and 300. His first estimate probably pretty good, the second one is pretty much a shot in the dark, but he knows what the rooms consist of, because he actually did a floor plan for us. taking the one that Todd and the police department did originally, and saying, no, this is how you can make it into one, starting here, I believe. 36 by 50, so 1,800 square feet. What it is. Most, a lot of it's empty, but not. So anyway, we asked then, Dan Keeler, he's the principal at Keeler Henry, so this is not some guy making an off the cuff deal. He spent many hours going through this to try to price it out. And, he said, I have an explanation from why, it's so much more than we had previously. We had 3 estimates from 2 garage builders and Taylor. And he said, well, here's a couple things that changed from those estimates. Mind the inflation, which is crazy, but it's now gonna be a bigger building as far as the footprint, not higher. So the email from Dan Kehoe says, and I says, we received the report, and you signed his invoice. Please verify that the building shell is estimated at 200K, and to finish the building, another 200 to 300K. I don't know. And he said, so the completed building ready for occupancy is estimated at 400 to 500. And he said, yes, that is correct. As an explanation, I did a comparison of the 4,622 Taylor estimate for the building, and their cost is 182,522. That cost is based on a 36 by 40 building. The new is 36 by 50. In other words, no office up there for storage if you need it. Only a center floor drain is included. New is roughed in for the toilet and other fixtures. That's for the 200. Only 1 service door is included. New is for 2 exterior doors. Only a 6 amp service was included, putting a 100 amp service. Electrical fixtures are not included in the original proposal, including this comparison. Drywall insulation included in the original, only insulation included in phase 1. Only insulation included in phase 1, not the drywall. Storage truss attic space not included. Attic storage trusses are included, but the stairway space is included in phase 2. I hope this clears up potential deals or questions. And somebody said that Dan was here today. Somebody tell me that? Dan Kehoe was, did you tell me that?
I saw some big difference, or,
Oh,
been a while.
that wasn't,
That was not good.
that was that one, okay. But anyway, so we hired Kehoe to do it, and, I think it's a trustworthy estimate, at the time. Finish it off, 400, 500, probably closer to 400. It's twice of what the electors authorized. The motion at the annual meeting was 400, okay? I'm sorry, it was 200, and now we're talking about 4 or 5. So by law, the electors are the only people that can authorize the cost of that building. We have the money to do it. That's not the problem. The problem is that the authorization is for 200. So our discussion, Lauren here, what are our options? One of the options that was brought up originally was, well, there was a meeting of the electors, when we get our annual budget approved in November, when we approve our electors. You could do it then. I don't think that would go over very well, because that's not a normal place where you get a big ticket item on there. Or, the annual meeting. The thing about it is we're not hurt too bad, other than, what our police officers have to work with for another year here. Again, working on the 2 classes, okay? So, the new chief may have some input too, but the building plan, as far as what Kehoe Henry came up with, I don't think any of us had an issue with that. That's what we're looking at, that's.
What was the plan we were given?
It was a complete project scope change from the annual meeting
Correct.
to when we went out and asked for a full estimate.
Right.
We added bathroom, showers, heating, ventilation. It was a complete change of scope, so we're not comparing apples to
Well,
apples, and that needs to be communicated and put on our website and on our Facebook
Right.
page.
The last meeting, you said you were writing up something on that, did that happen? Okay, that doesn't have to happen, but I'm thinking, again, this is our decision here. We do know, generally what has been given to us by an email that John said, that's a feeling out there of to me, I look at it as bad optics and saying, that does look, you know, like a beach, but it's not. We don't know how we came up with this. And the number that we had originally, and Todd got it from Taylor, said, I want a turnkey number. That was a turnkey number. Did it have, on one floor? No. Did it have a shower? No. Did it have individual heat system? I don't think so. It had just.
It had a motion here.
Yeah.
A lot of things changed from when this originally started. Due to the fact that once Keyhole Henry, we had a meeting with them on certain things that had to be in, cause it's gonna be, not so much living space, but
Make
it's
it a
gonna be
usable space. there.
people in there.
Yeah.
And it's stuff that Taylor's didn't know, and the other garage builders didn't actually know, that you needed 2 service doors, you needed so many certain things to make that. That's why the price went, and Taylor's and all that originally was, it's a shelter garage, finished.
Well, and that was another thing we did when we started discussing this, that, you know, Todd had reached out and got these numbers. They were just a start. It wasn't, you know, even when we went to the annual meeting, it was, you know, there was a little bit of the, communication of, are we voting on this, or we're, you know, the biggest point was to get this out to the electors so that we're not sitting at the same problem that we had a few years ago. And I think that the board all agrees on it, and we've been discussing this, but we haven't gotten it until now. We've been quite busy, with a lot of things, but no, I don't think there's anything here, that's intentionally that we thought, oh, we're gonna do 200,000, no, we knew it was gonna be 5, that isn't the case, on what's going on here. But if we wanna do it right, we wanna have a quality building, and, this is the way to go about it. I don't think most people wouldn't, most people wouldn't or disagree that our police department could really use an updating and have the facilities they need to do the job, do it safe, you know, and be prepared. But as nowadays goes, sticker shock on everything between going to the grocery store and building a building is quite something, but I just wanna make sure that everybody knows, none of this was intentional. It's just trying to do it the right way and have a quality building that's gonna last us a really long time is gonna be important, and sometimes to spend that extra money, but this is ultimately up to the electors.
Well, I think Keyhole Henry also pointed out some of the deficiencies that we had left off in our original thought processes. You know, he was very adamant about meeting code, which has definitely changed the scope of what we thought we could go with.
I think the only room that was added from the original plan, I believe, was the shower. But we did take it from 2-story to 1-story, that does make a difference. How much-
There was so many more things if you would've went to 2 stories, like we kinda originally thought we could do, as far as safety concerns, and it was mind numbing, cause it's a public building.
Yeah, he would have been all right with 2-story,
Yeah.
but why? If you got space to do it,
Yeah.
why? Don't do it.
Yeah.
Because obviously, all police officers have to do the, you know, the physical fitness part of it, so that's not the issue. And for the public, I mean, it would still be in this corner office here at ground level, which is
I'm gonna say.
not an issue, now it's not an issue anywhere. So, what I'm hearing, I'm thinking that the proper place is probably April. What do you think?
I think the
Annual
annual meeting is.
Annual meeting,
would be
Bill?
good.
What's your thoughts?
I haven't decided when to ask the question. I think we need to inform the electorate, as to rumors and setting the record straight as to where this project is.
Good.
And I know that we have that communication in the works. Joe, can you comment in terms of actual funds that are available to us,
Okay.
beyond the $200,000?
Okay, well, we do have funds available, to do, you know, the rest of it. Obviously, this is also a borrowing issue, this is not a regular issue. The funds available are ARPA, which we, allocated a fair share of it so far, okay? Then we also have our landfill people are always, yelling and screaming, saying that that's tax dollars. It's not tax dollars. It is, money negotiated by a prior board when the landfill got approved. So when we had my house, that monster, it would be a fight at the time. And we've been very, very frugal with that fund forever, okay? We were able to start drawing on it 12, 15 years ago, and we really, the only major thing we drew off it was to do the original, planning, and plans for the town hall, which, was authorized and then taken away. None of this issue would have been even around if we had a new town hall, but this project would suffice for the area needs, the space needs for the town for 25, 30 years. That's what this is. And instead of 3.3 million back then, which would now be probably 5 with inflation and the prices going up, this is a, $400,000 or $500,000 building right here in the salt shed that takes care of the space needs. So the landfill fund is available to help fund that. That's ridiculous for it's being honest, nothing. It certainly would be a use for, a town-wide resource. And ARPA funds are also available, so it wouldn't necessarily have to be, all, Bartlett. It could be potentially half and half. And that's what I would probably say, but there are funds available, but to me, the definition, and Jim, you can pipe in here, is it doesn't matter if we have the money or not, we still need the authorization from the electors to go to the floor.
Right.
So, I think that answers the question, as far as when, where, and how, is the money available? Yes, yes. And those two funds are specifically for something like this, but that's a discussion we have to have when we jump back into ARPA again, and when we talk about budget this year, and how we're gonna do it, with the costs of, all of our employees and supplies and utilities and whatnot. But a building is subject, for borrowing, or other revenue sources, so that shouldn't be an issue or levy issue. The issue is we need the electors to approve it, that's the issue. So, I'm
I
clear,
mean,
man.
the original question was on Lang. In my honest opinion, if we could get something out to inform the electors and really get this out advertised and have people at the next meeting, I'd like to see something done sooner than later, we're talking, we're starting to talk, okay, we're in April, well then let's start, let's get the plans, figured out, let's,
2 years.
might be, this might be something that could be a couple years down the road, even if we do it now, at least, I'm just saying, we're a few months ahead of the game. We're trying to do a rebuild, but, these guys have been dealing with, if you're ever allowed, or, the interim chief is here, or if you look back there, and you never have, you'll understand why. And I think they're gonna deserve that, and I think that it's gonna help them as a team, and I think sooner the better. But I also have always been a big, talking out about how we need to be transparent to everybody as far as electors, how are we gonna get this out to everybody? Get the facts, get the information, so that there isn't the hearsay or the guessing or the rumor mill, as and some call it, to really get the facts out there. But the sooner the better, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it could be a cover letter or an explanation, and then probably a Keogh's report that we do, where you spell it out.
Putting
You
that
know,
report
we
on
got
the
it.
website.
Getting,
Yep.
going to the paper and directing, in a newspaper, and directing people to our website, that, hey, please check it out, and you know what, this, our annual budget meeting is, you approve that too.
And-
There's
and
usually
we have
two people
hearings
here,
in
so,
December.
I mean,
Well, but do you want to have it be part of the budget process?
Well, that was
You
the
know,
question we were.
So getting it out before,
well, I guess I'm not sure, because we haven't gotten, this is something that we have discussed, but, we haven't gotten there, but the sooner the better is. I would like to see it, because everything's a process, things are gonna take time. And again, our budget meeting, annual budget meeting, that's for the electors also, that's a very important meeting, and I know that's been said by Michelle, and, people need, if you can, to come to that, because at least you have a little bit more understanding of where the dollars are going and such, and you approve it, right?
I think if you put it on November, you might have, some space constraints. Yeah, so unless the budget hearing,
Is there a way to do another open house where we could use that
Sure, you could,
about,
if it's noticed, you can.
And couldn't we have a special meeting of the electors specifically to address
Special, you
this?
can have it, that's what
And
I'm-
publicize it, and
Really get
like
it
you said, put it in
advertised.
the newspaper, or whatever the case may be.
Well, and either one way or another, that's a great idea too, but we have to, we've been trying, it's been a giant discussion with everybody on the board, is the transparency and how we need to do that and really get it out there so that everybody comes and everyone's on the same page with, and how this became what it is.
Yeah, and again, my view is that it's done with the budget, absolutely, it's legal and legit, but it's not a normal place you would do something. It's not normal. Could you do it? Sure. Could you have a special meeting of the electorate? Yes, but that would have to be noticed the same way, and Kim said, and then that would include the whole voting deal and whatever. It has to be, that's how, again, how it happens. A special meeting, the electors make the decision. Here it is, yes or no, that's gonna be it. It's one issue. Of course, the other question could come up and we could remember that, but the issue would be probably, yes or no, and read them,
I think that would be the most transparent, because we voted on it at the last electors meeting. I think we need to determine though when we'll be ready with enough facts and enough project scope and data. If what we have from Kehoe Henry is enough, how long, that estimate is valid, to make sure that we don't run into the same issue again, once we give this information to the
Jumping the
public.
gun, we will vote before we have.
Yeah.
You will,
And then
the
have-
numbers will be all different by next April.
Right,
that's why we're living right now.
and a special election, I think makes more timely to be able to act on within the budget.
couple weeks.
Yeah.
So you're thinking ahead, I mean,
A special elector meeting,
Yeah, I
I
think we
propose.
do an open
and that would be January, then
house,
it won't be
special
before
election.
then.
Why?
You know, to get, that stuff prepared and get it out and noticed, and it's the end of the year, budget time, contract time. You say December, it certainly won't be till November. I don't see how it could get done before January. January would be good, but, cause nobody's,
How would that impact, then when would we be able to start, if the 2023 budget's already done?
Could we put money in a placeholder?
No, you have to authorize,
Okay.
Well, that's the budget.
That's the budget.
you know,
We did that last year.
you could have a number in there.
We did have a number.
We put a number in there last October. The electors approved it. It has not been spent yet. You could do the same thing this year, if I understand things correctly. And then if they approve it, then
Then
you've
you go
got that.
forward.
So then this information has to get out like ASAP.
So you can put that, we can just put that in the budget and you're totally
Because the
fine.
budget is approved by the electors.
But they're not necessarily approving that to go into a building, so it may not be used, but it's budgeted for. Does that make sense?
I feel like we're voting on it at the budget meeting, why wouldn't you just have it? If we could have our information, but I mean, if they're already voting on it there, then.
Right.
I mean, if this is what we're gonna be using as our estimates, couldn't we have a special